Welcome everyone for another day of VCS, English, and more importantly, scuffed production, because Boots entered me today, so you can see these beautiful text boxes on your screen right now. Gonna get rid of them as soon as the animation goes away, but much more importantly, welcome Rebel Fox and Fresh Thana, our guests for today, and I definitely want to start with you, Thana. We haven't seen you on our broadcast, so our viewers aren't too familiar with you. Please, tell us about yourself and tell us what your favorite champion is and how you found your way to the VCS.
Yeah, of course. I'm just a color caster from Germany, and so I casted a lot there, and then got into the Luxembourgish scene, for example, to cast a lot in English. And now I'm here, and of course my favorite champion. You could think it's Snar, but actually it's Poppy. So I'm just a little Poppy OTP
Good
in the top lane.
choice.
And yeah, I just play her for 5 years or something as OTP. So she's just a great champion for me, and I kinda love her.
Very good to hear. We love the Poppy here. Hopefully some Poppy jungle, maybe, today. Maybe Levo brings her out. We never know. But to introduce us to the teams today, or just talk a little bit about what happened yesterday on our first day of week 2, Rebel, tell us, how long is this pause between the two series today gonna be? Because we saw GAM play yesterday, we saw Flash play yesterday, they played again today in the first series. What's
This is
gonna happen?
this is a cursed question, because if I say there's not going to be a break, that means there will be a break 100%. And the second that I say there will be a break, there will of course be a break one way or another. So I'm trying not to curse us with like an hour-long break, so I'm just going to say an hour-long break, so the universe maybe makes me wrong, hoping that that's not the case and that VTV's on top of things today and that we don't have to worry about it too much. But after yesterday, I don't suspect anything. We've been pretty quick about getting right back into games once things stop, which is rather nice. A little breath of fresh air from previous splits.
Yeah, I was actually more referring to the pause in the middle of the stream between the two series.
That's what you mean. How quick will that be?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it to an hour and a half. I don't think it's gonna be the full 2 hour break between the two of them, thankfully. But I don't think an hour and a half is out of question.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. And of course, we're referring to GAM playing. So far, they've been flawless, spotless, 4-0 in games. Their stats are ridiculous. If you want to take a look for yourself, everything is green on the Game of Legends page. But yeah, they are the most famous team in the VCS, and Thana, you're here for the first time. You, of course, have heard about GAM. Give me your impressions of GAM. Can be historic, can be current form, whatever comes to mind for you.
Yeah, it's probably historic because maybe the first time I saw them is on the world stage, and with like Levi and with Archie and Optimus and I think Norway, and there was the fifth guy. But I mean, they played so creatively with the Urgot top lane or with the Nocturne coming level 6 to level 3 bot lane or something. Like they had such a great one on Worlds there, and I think that was the first impression I got from GAM. And then sadly we didn't saw them 2 years in Worlds now. So hopefully maybe this year. But I think they're just a really strong team and historical, and even now to this day. I think the last few splits always first place or second place. So I'm really excited to see them in their region.
It's really funny because right after that happened, we had like the world tour happen for Levi, who's like the star of the VCS and star for GAM, which didn't go great for Levi. But as soon as he came back, that was the point where GAM all of a sudden took back over, right? Because like they were still dominant, they're still doing things. But it was that moment when Levi returned to GAM to stay inside of the VCS for what seems to be a very long amount of time, that they became the team to beat perpetually in every single split. I know we haven't seen them at the Worlds tournament for the last 2 years. That's because VCS hasn't sent anybody for the last 2 years, which is unfortunate. The cool part is that in that meantime, the VCS has actually been leveling up all the teams beneath GAM. It started with like Flash, and then it started layering on more and more teams, and all of a sudden we actually have middle of the pack teams, and we have like teams in the lower region that are being our higher teams, and all of a sudden the ground floor is starting to rise up to the level GAM is at, although GAM's not really letting that on this split, are they?
That's definitely good to hear as a VCS fan. And talking about the team you just mentioned, Flash, the two-time champion from 2020, they underwent a lot of changes. Some players are back there, some players are new, and they started with a win this split, which already equaled their win column for winter split. But is yesterday's series? The yesterday's series was a little bit of a disaster against Cerberus, against the puppies actually. So, is one win all they're going to get?
I'm going to say no. I'm pretty confident in that.
Thana?
Yeah, I don't think that they have any chance versus GAM.
So at least not win today is what you're saying. Let's see if that actually extends to the whole split. But what about their longest standing player, our beloved Yoshino, the maybe the most famous VCS English player, because he's so great on Discord. If you want to have some conversation with Yoshino, come join our Discord. Quick ad. But is he at this stage just a failed Ryze one trick in the mid lane? Should he go back to top lane? What's up with him?
I think it's rough to being now basically like lane swapping in the mid lane, and I mean there are a lot more mid lane champions you can play on the top lane as well. Like I mean maybe he will pick up the Kali or the Jace in the mid lane, but at the moment I kind of like that he plays all those like roaming heavy or at least like map heavy champions with the Ryze, with the Gali, with the Corki, because you have a lot of impact on the whole map, and that's something for a top laner at least. It's something new, because normally you're on your islands, and now he can like roam around the whole map. So, but I wouldn't call him a Ryze one trick at the moment, because it's just 4 games. So maybe in the end of the split, but at the moment I think he has all the champions in the world to try out, and it's a rough spot for him to now sitting in the mid lane for the first time. So. Give him some time to like adapt to this mid lane meta, and I think Ryze is a really good fit for him.
To me, I think actually the thing that they're not doing with Yoshino is finding him the role he needs to be. You made a great point, Thana, just that, like, you know, obviously he's not a Ryze one trick, but nothing has really been working, and acclimating to the meta is really important when you're role swapping. The thing that seems to be working, not only here, but also in C games, is just champions that in general have solid map impact, right? Like the Galio had an okay performance, even though he got solo killed twice, still the map impact was felt. Ryze was felt a number of times when he's playing that champion. The big one that I remember at C games was actually his Karma pick in the mid lane, which went completely nutty out of that position. Just having impact all over the place. I have no idea if he went top or not. One way or another, he's all over the map. When he's on the map, that's when Yoshino looks the best. Get him on champions that are roaming constantly. Stop giving him champions that are expected to play out like these high damage roles right now, because it's not what he's comfortable with.
So that sounds to me like you two still like to see Yoshino and are still quite high on him. So I'm going to pose this question to you first, Rebel. What is this team's strongest lineup right now? Team Flash's best 5 lineup. If you were the coach, which 5 players would you field right now?
I would personally not stop fielding the roster they've got right now. I think that Marcus, Ikigai, Yoshino in the mid lane, and then, of course, their bottom lane exactly the way it has been for the entirety of the split so far. They need time. I think Yoshino, if he's able to adapt to again, make more of an impact on the map, but specifically if he and Ikigai can really get on the same page, like Ikigai's already been having a great split, looking fantastic as a rookie. If all of a sudden this like masterclass top laner is able to like acclimate to the mid lane, start supporting this young jungler, and attacking for Marcus, who's been proven to be able to carry, and their bottom side as well, all of a sudden this team, it looks like a legitimate threat for multiple positions.
Yeah, and if you were the coach, Thana, I'm going to move on to that one. How would you approach this series against GAM? We know GAM is insanely dominant right now, 4-0. I mentioned before their stats are through the roof, probably the best in the world, I'd assume, at least in a Tier 1 league. So coming into this match, you're probably not looking at win as Team Flash's manager or coach. So how would you define a goal for your players or just the team in general? What do you want to see from these players? Do you want to see a certain game time being reached or one game being won? What's the one thing you want to see?
Yeah, I think maybe one game being won would be a really huge upstep for them. So maybe that could be one targeted aim. But maybe even just like giving your best and just seeing that you can handle such a team and not like getting stomped would be a really nice idea as well. And I think there are even some ideas to maybe win it, because if you swap in Marcus to the top lane. And there's a reason why they do that, because Marcus is really a strong top laner, and maybe in a perfect world, if you can isolate top lane and he can show him the world how good he is, then maybe you can play around your top laner and maybe he can like win his lane. But that's just in a perfect world. And with those roaming mid laners, maybe there are some angles as well to help out top and bottom. But in the end, at least if you don't get stomped, I think that's always a good thing. And if you don't give the bot laner from if you don't give Style a pentakill in the end, then you have a really great showing as well. So I think those are the two things. Don't get stomped, don't get pentad, and then you have a great series.
Okay, we are looking at draft already, but I want to quickly also ask Rebel a little bit of a different question, but still very similar. So we heard from Thana the coach perspective, or trying to imagine being the coach for this team. I want to hear from your side the more neutral perspective, from just the broadcast perspective. What does success today look like for Flash against GAM as we head into draft?
Taking an expectation at even taking a game against GAM seems a little far-fetched right now, so I'm not even going to put it at that. Here's what I want from Team Flash today. Number one, if you're drafting good compositions, which they have been, figure out your win condition and operate on it very quickly. And number two, obviously, whoever it is that's starting, in this case, is actually no-go over top of Yashino. Make sure to figure out how to help support your map, and especially with Ikigai, help support Ikigai. Let him go crazy. He's been able to do it. That's how they actually did quite a bit of work in the Saigon series, the combination of him with the mid laner. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see them operating on their win condition, and I want to see them having some kind of initial move on the map to get themselves off to a good foot. If they can do those two things, even if they get run through by GAM in 20 minutes in 2 games in a row, I'm perfectly happy with the way this game pans out.
Well, there it is. Those are the expectations we're coming into the series with, and in terms of draft, we are already going at lightning speed. We have Gwen first pick, which has been very common in the VCS, answered by another super common duo by GAM. Take it away, please, my analyst Thana. What do you think of this Renekton Jhin opening?
Yeah, I think Jhin just fits the style from Style. So we just played him for 3 times. So a little bit of comfort, just a really good pick for him to maybe even sit like in the bot lane and being alone. Because I mean, we saw yesterday or something that he got dived and still got one kill in the dive in the 1v2. So just a great pick for him. And Renekton, I mean, we all know Renekton is just a great early game pick. So I think it fits into GAM's threat.
Donna, don't let our host Yulwei, despite his obvious tenure inside of the VCS, fool you at all. The reason he asked us to do the analysis for him is because he's seething at this double pick in the first phase of the picking on the side of GAM. He doesn't like Renekton and he hates Jhin with an absolute burning passion. So he's expecting us to do his job so he can throw his fist in the air right now.
You're of course right. I don't actually hate Renekton that much. I'm not sure where this narrative has come from. I think some of the play-by-play casters just gave me associated me with hate for Renekton for no reason whatsoever. I don't love him, but he's okay.
Just in general, if a pick is hated, usually it's associated with Yulwei, which is not okay. Has Yasuo been banned? Yasuo hasn't been banned yet. And I would love to see a Levi, Kadi, Yasuo, Diana combination. I think that would be awesome, but...
And it's open.
It is open.
So, I mean, that would be a great pickup, right? But maybe you would need to pick support first. Or at least you could try to pick support first, because I don't think that Team Flash will pick the Yasuo way. And there's the Tahm Kench. Like they played it yesterday as well, Tahm Kench with Jhin, so great, decent pickup. And now they still have the chance to pick the Yasuo if he will be open. And I would kind of like this combo as well. It's just so strong, and you can always start with the Jhin ultimate to slow them to then get the engage, so it really fits great into it, and especially maybe with an unmobile mid laner, you can always like jump on them, and it's the Victor, so there's basically not really counterplay. He needs to create his gravity field before they jump in to maybe stun them, and so I would really expect the Yasuo maybe in this matchup.
I'm just quickly checking if Kati has ever played Yasuo in his life.
I'm guessing not.
No, he has not. Yona is in there with 1 game, but no Yasuo. So this could be a first. And we also... Oh, there we go. Okay, Rebel. Here we go.
All right. I'm digging actually both sides of this one. I do have the problem of, again, when you're assigning...
He played 4 games, sorry. I overlooked that. It's actually a 5th game. So.
That's fair. I don't mind this, just because, again, when you've got a Jhin, I don't like not having somebody who's able to kind of take the brunt of the damage in a team fight. But when you've got a Diana Yasuo, you usually are able to pick up the slack a fair amount, especially if you go going early. But on the other side, Team Flash, they've got something that where No-Go can kind of sit there. That seems to be more of his onus, is playing the more standard traditional mage-type champions as opposed to Yoshino, who I would want roaming out and about. But more importantly, that the Hecarim's starting to rear its head. This champion is insanely powerful, has not gotten anywhere near enough attention inside of this split yet so far, but it's really starting to pick up steam. It's sitting at like 58% win rate in every single region on like 107 picks so far. So it's not even at like 12% like for every single pick throughout the entire split. This champion though, insane. Really happy to see Flash picking it up and having another good draft.
Tell me about the your expectations for the game, Thana. You can give me a prediction as well, though that's probably very obvious. But if you just look at these compositions without nameplates, which side do you favor?
Yeah, I kind of like this, like Yasuo Diana comp with a really high range engage with Jhin, with a really strong early game with Renekton. It's just a really fitting team comp, and just it would work. So I would predict that this team comp will win, even without the nameplates.
And I don't think we have time for Rebel's prediction, unfortunately. He's going to come back strong after this game. So I'm going to throw it over to our lovely casters today. We have Marby and Milky, not Milby. So take it away.
I'm Milky, she's Marby, we're Milby. It's like Kirby, but even cooler, just that we can't metamorph into different beings, at least not yet. Anyway, Marby, but
I am working on being able to fit an entire car into my mouth. That is on the works, in the works.
Honestly, guys, stay tuned. VCS week 3, Marby becomes a transformer.
Eats a car. Yeah, all right.
We are into game. It's our first best of 3, Team Flash against GAM. The first thing I want to touch on is I want to talk about this mid lane, because that's not Yoshino. And I'm a little bit upset about that, because I quite like Yoshino, and I thought he played really well in week 1.
I am very underwhelmed by Yoshino. On any pick that is not called Rise, he has been pretty much blasted in lane on everything else. Like he's made efforts to move around the map and stuff on like the Galleon and stuff, sure, but he was hitting some pretty pitiful, having some pretty pitiful laning phases within those games. So I definitely don't feel. I think giving No-Go a shot up into GAM, where it's a game where you don't really expect a different result either way, I think that's absolutely fine. Try and make sure that one of your actual mid lane players get some reps in. And across the board, I think it's going to be very interesting. He's going to have a pretty comfortable time early on up against the Yasuo from Cardi, because this Diana Yasuo, it can pop off, but it's not super strong pre-6. So we're looking to Flash to really try and make things happen. Ikagai in particular on this Hecarim. See if they can get the good wraparound ganks, try and make it difficult for the mid laner, because that is going to be the biggest damage source as the game progresses.
We are seeing this Yasuo Diana composition, which the analyst desk did highlight, and it's one that takes my mind back actually to earlier this year in the LEC, where Mad Lions played it 2 games in a row, and they had good success with it as well. So I've seen firsthand the amount of power that the Yasuo-Diana composition can have. And as I think Thana was mentioning, you've got the early game of the Renekton, the Jhin. So GAM are going to be able to get to the mid stage of this game very easily and in a very comfortable spot. But if we get past that, all of a sudden we're going to be seeing this Gwen, this Victor, this Jinx absolutely tearing GAM to shreds.
Yeah, and it is worth mentioning, just on the side, that the VCS is not being played in isolation this time around. We have seen the Diana Yasuo pretty much the same comp, almost exactly, in the C games from GAM, where they lost to SBTC, which is one of our worst teams. Now, stuck in that tournament, whatever, put that aside. But it hasn't really had the best sort of opening to it. But now Levi is looking to make something happen on the map. See what they can get done early. Lots of CC in the lane.
And they're going straight onto the Tahm Kench. There's very little Artie can do. B will just tank things up with the thick skin. And now Slater in a 1v3, trying to pick up the kill onto B. Levi tanking the tower. Actually, Star tanking the tower. Takes so many tower shots. And Levi will be able to survive. GAM flawlessly executing the dive.
Making a huge use out of that CC coming out from B and Style. Landing that Abyssal Dive just really does a lot there, because if you miss that, you probably can't really pull off the dive as effectively. But let's see if Ikigai can stop it back or two. Get a kill, he picks up Jhin, and we're seeing a replay. But yeah, lands tongue lash into the Abyssal Dive. It's very clean from here, and they just know Slater can't clap back the damage hard enough, and can't really do anything as Star's just able to tank up the Levi. Nice and clean. And then they just sort of hang around a little bit to push in this final wave, and that gives Ikigai the opportunity to get in there. He gets one back. That's a good start to the jungler. Can't stop that second back, though.
A good job from Ikigai to be able to get one kill. I don't know if that meant that Style was effectively able to reset even quicker. Now, I want to touch on this top lane, because I'm going to make a sweeping statement, Marby, and you're either going to agree with me or more likely disagree with me. I think these are the two best top laners in the league right now.
My gut reaction really wants to say no, because it feels a little bit early to put Marcus up there, but
yeah, I
mean, we expect a little bit more out of Harsmid, and there's a lot to be left to be decided on the side of Cerberus. So I could see it. Marcus is I think falls a little bit flat, especially when it comes to moving out of the lane. In lane, Marcus is actually really insane. He's got a
Alfari then.
Yeah, that works. A very strong laner, has a bit of a. The thing that really stands out in my mind is that sitting in bush on Jace around the Baron Pit, and then just the whole fight happens, and then he leaves the bush to join. It's terrible. But
was that Marcus's fault, or was that the rest of the team's fault for, letting them be caught and not playing around the Jace?
That was his fault. Anyway.
Okay. We do have a dive in the bottom lane. It's a rinse and repeat from GAM. They're looking for Artie, but Artie buying a lot of time here. And maybe this time, the dive has not been executed right. Levi on no HP. He cannot have an impact in this fight. He throws out one Crescent Strike, but that is all. It's a 1-for-1. Onslaught of Shadows flashed away by Star. Deadly Flourish will not lock the Hecarim down in place, and it will just be the 1-for-1 at the end of the play.
Yeah, and they do manage to fix the dive. Ikigai's in a good place to collapse, and it's not juggled as well. They aren't able to finish off the Nautilus quite as quickly. But we're seeing it doesn't amount to much. It's a bit of gold onto Ikigai. This Hecarim being very fed, and they might be able to. Well, they force the teleport out of Cardi as well as the flash. So this mid lane that was and still is sort of going in Carti's favor. As we just see here, they start with Style tanking the tower, so he can't really inject that initial amount of burst because he doesn't want to tank those tower shots. So it slows the play down. Levi ends up taking the tower as well. That's what screwed up the dive, and especially Ikigai being in position just to seal the deal. As we were just praising Marcus.
He had a CS lead against a Renekton as well.
Yeah, he appears to have been solo killed though.
Yes.
That's not good. That kind of puts a damper on things. Let's see what happens here, because we saw a little bit of Marcus trying to. Okay, so that hook looked weird, but I think it just hit a wall rather than the Renekton. Yeah, we saw Marcus trying to put the pressure down with the needlework. Doesn't happen, and Kiai is able to capitalize and punish. So this is going to be a bit of a good lead for, and oh my god, Style, you have made a mistake.
And this all comes down to that previous dive, because Style burned his flash, he doesn't have a flash available, and it is something that I did want to bring up, because now you have an immobile AD carry with no flash against a Nautilus, against a Hecarim, and before it was all GAM playing against this Team Flash bottom lane, and now all of a sudden it's the Jhin that's going to be susceptible to Team Flash.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty okay for the side of Team Flash, but now it's going to be a collapse onto Slater. Ikigai is in position.
Oh, Slater's trying to hide behind the minion so he doesn't get hit by the tongue lash. That's a lot of time being bought by Ikigai. Slater has to be careful. Abyssal dive coming through. B just flashes in, picks up the kill on Slater. Nothing Ikigai can do to stop that.
Oh, no.
Good devour, spat out under the tower. And Style picks up the kill. 3-2 on the Jhin. And Team Flash overextending is Slater. Now we've got to dive towards the top side of the map. What can Marcus do? The Moonfall is dropped down. Levi will tank up one more tower shot than he would like. And Marcus could potentially turn this around. GAM trying to proxy farm. The Super Mega Deathrock doesn't find the kill, but Marcus will. Kiaya pulls one back. It's a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. Chaos Storm drop down. Team Flash pick up another. And who comes out of all of the kills on top? I don't quite know.
So across the board, it's a 1-for-1 in the top lane, a solo in the mid lane, and a 2-for-1 in the bot lane. So it's fairly even across the board. But I mean, we got to go back to that play from B. It was disgusting, and it doesn't stop Style once again.
Another dredge line. Is it available? Does Slater just run him down? Zap picks up the kill. Artie will sacrifice his life, tanking up the tower shots, but Slater, well, he's slaying the GAM bottom lane right now. It's got a 10 CS lead over this Jhin as well.
Yeah, so we're going to see the mid lane 1v1 here, and what actually occurs? So do we see? It's just a lot of damage. Dodges all the dodges the shockwaves. I think there was an engage on the ultimate, but it didn't actually end up doing that much damage to No-Go. Just a poor decision making from Carty ends up backfiring horribly. But GAM, finally, after 10 minutes and 14 kills, or close to 11, they're going to finally go, we need to take an objective, I think. They did pick up the Rift Herald as well. I will say that did happen. So they do have these two objectives, and now they're going to transfer that into the bot lane, free up Style, so he doesn't have to keep, getting ganked over and over again by Ikigai. Claim this first tower, and really work into these two side laners that they have set up in the Yasuo and the Renekton.
Rift Herald dropped in the bottom lane. It picks up a tower 11 minutes and 30 seconds into this game. And despite the kills being relatively even, GAM find themselves at 3,500 gold on top. Onslaught of Shadows in the mid lanes finds the delivery onto Catty. Where are you gonna go? You can try to slide your way through the minion wave, but you will fall nonetheless. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, that is the inner tower down as well. 2 towers have already fallen. That's a lot of gold going into Style, but the issue that I see with this Marby is the fact that now this wave can just be frozen, and how can Style and B really approach this wave without being collapsed on massively by a Hecarim?
It's gonna be a little bit difficult, but No-Go is just deciding to bully out Style instead. And the big problem is problem for Flash is Kiaya is coming back for that top lane king spot. He is mad that he wasn't first All-Pro in winter.
Who was it?
Actually, no, he was, but he shouldn't have been.
He's mad that he got it when he didn't deserve it, and he's like, now I'm gonna deserve it, and I'm not gonna get it.
So anyway, he wants to be undisputed, the best top laner. He's smashing markets in lane. It's going extremely well for him, but the problem is It's alleviated a little bit because Renekton is getting a lead. But if all the gold is on Jhin and Yasuo can't keep up, this Hecarim becomes extra useful. Hecarim's big advantage and why we're seeing a lot of pick is it's really good into these long-range comps because it has that guaranteed backline access. That's just all she wrote, really. Unless we see No-Go just delete style here.
So what
No.
happened? Did you just drop down the
What are
chaos
we
ball?
watching?
Oh. Actually, observers are smurfing.
Oh. That's just
Unfortunate.
not fair. Just don't show us that. Don't get our hopes up.
Would have liked a bit of slow motion, zoom in on the Jhin as it lands. Big explosion, fireworks.
Point is, but yeah, the Hecarim has the easy access to the backline. That backline is basically only style, and if the front line of Yasuo, Renekton, Diana can't really pick up the slack, yeah, the Hecarim's ability to just jump in, delete the or remove the Jhin from the fight through either killing or just getting him low and forcing him out, can really ruin GAM's team fighting capabilities.
Okay, and actually, Yolway pointing out that with that Jinx rocket, after it landed, Sal then used his Gale Force in an attempt to belatedly dodge it. Now, B has to be careful because that's a flash Dredgeline coming in. Slater here as well. Deadly Flourish. Slater able to sidestep, throws out the rocket, picks up the kill. Now a teleport, but it's going to take Cardi straight into the gravity well. He's forced to flash away. Can Team Flash look for anything more? No, they can't. They'll just take the kill and they will walk out with their winnings.
Yeah, but it's just gonna keep going as the curtain call opens up. This shouldn't amount to too much unless... Oh!
The good Dredgeline, now the teleport coming through from the side of Team Flash, but Kiaya on the flank, trying to get in, trying to find the damage. Carti low, Levi is burning down, ticking down, and it's all going the way of Team Flash. Artie on the run, Star flashing forward, able to pick up another kill off the backside, but now it's a 3v2. Kiaya trying to run away, Marcus on the hunt. What can Ikigai do? Nothing more will come through, and overall it is a 3-for-2 in favor of Team Flash. The first kill went the way of Team Flash, and then the 2v2 in the follow-up fight.
Oh, but...
Marcus? Yeah, I think Marcus dies here. He's been devoured. He's been gobbled up. He's been regurgitated. Now on the run, Ikigai could look to try to come and help out his top laner, but he said, nah, mate, you've entered this. Over the wall goes Marcus. Sidesteps the deadly flourish. No way Marcus survives from this, but somehow he does. He's just sent all of GAM on a wild goose chase.
They try to give it to Style, but he has to reload, so he can't actually finish off that kill. This is the second part of the engage. B is already dead, and it sets up... The Diana Yasuo combo happens, but they all clump up and it sets up a beautiful ultimate from this Hecarim. Gets the three of them, completely removes the mid-jungle duo. And then, yeah, Marcus just... He's a little bit hypey. He picked up a double kill and he wants a little bit more. And he really shouldn't have. It's a miracle he gets out, and... Actually, what? He just gets out of vision.
You know what I think it
attack
was?
Speed on the Jhin.
I think Marcus knew Team Flash they want to fight again, but he realized that B's Devour is such a huge ultimate, he needed to get rid of it. And that's exactly what he did.
Possibly. But we're seeing that is almost back off cooldown. Rift Herald has been summoned in the mid lane, and we're seeing Marcus and Ikigai on the flank.
Failed Dredgeline, it will not land. The Rift Herald charges in, and now there's no tower to help Team Flash defend Moonfall. Into the last breath, but Ikigai is here, and down goes the Yasuo. Marcus on the back line, he's able to find a kill, and Slater's just throwing out the rockets. Kiai desperately trying to get onto No-Go, but it is a no-go play for GAM. B, the only member left standing. Slater excited, Slater hunting. Can he land a zap? Marcus over the wall, and now there is nowhere for the River King to go. Sidestepping the tongue lash, the zap will land. The Toad has been slowed. Marcus on the hunt. Slater lands another zap, and it's just B running desperately for his life, but he will find no survival. He will fall. Marcus picks up the kill. It is a clean ace for Team Flash.
Being able to convert this win into some tower damage at least. They still aren't able to pick up these towers. They haven't grabbed a single one, and because of that, despite everything, GAM is still in the gold lead, having picked up 4 for themselves. There's one coming back finally for the side of Team Flash, but that's a lot of gold back. They picked up a dragon as well. Yes, they did. I remember seeing that. But yeah, we see here it starts off Artie getting a 3-man knocker, but Marcus is just in the back and able to completely assassinate Style. That ultimate from Tahm Kench, not actually up, so he can't do anything about it. Perhaps the big brains were in play from that first one. And yeah, it's just nothing can be done. Ikigai gets another fantastic ultimate in the front line. They get cleaned up by Style. It's huge on the Jinx with the Kraken Slayer Runans. This is coming out very positive looking for Flash.
And we said at the start of this game that GAM have such a strong mid-game. Once Kiaya, Kati, Levi, Star, they're on 1 to 2 items, they do so much work. But once we get past that phase, we start to get to the later stages, 3, 4, 5, 6 items coming in. Team Flash, with all of these late game monsters of a Gwen, a Victor, a Jinx, they become huge. And my question to you now is, do GAM need to find something substantial? Otherwise, are they just going to get massively outscaled in this game?
I think so. We look at this top lane, and Kiaya was 3-0, and Marcus was 1-3. Now Marcus has picked up 4 kills along the way. As Ikigai, he's going to have to ult out. Should be fine. And yeah, since then, Kiaya has picked up a kill and an assist, but it's not much as the fight kicks off again.
Curtain call has been dropped down. Kiaya, low, Levi taking that to half health, but he's already got the kill on to Ikigai. GAM now chasing on to Artie, but Levi is just going to get taken down by Marcus. And it means it is a 1-for-1. Both junglers down, and now Marcus, he set his sights on Kati. Kiaya and B are here to protect their mid laner, and Team Flash cannot aggress anymore. But as we said, Team Flash outscale. They are happy to take these 1v1s that are stalling out the game.
I mean, honestly, this is... Hold on, that's a pick onto Artie.
The missile dive into the last breath. Artie flashing away. Now he lands a dredge line. Slater's making his way over, but Slater is a little bit too late to the party. Star is making his way out. Marcus and Nogo now on the chase of Kati. Again, it's 1 kill for nothing for GAM, but it will just become a 1-for-1 as Nogo picks up the kill onto Kati. Another 1-for-1 for Team Flash, and the game will stall out even further.
That first initial 1-for-1, overall, I thought this is actually a win for GAM. You pick up a big shutdown for Ikigai, onto Ikigai, and the gold goes onto your Diana. That can set up your big wombo combo extremely well, but it trades off, and you've wound up getting more kills over to the Victor, onto the Gwen, and that second part only cost you your support, who is already, let's be honest, he's fairly far behind. He's not worth all that much, is Arte. But he's dying for his team, and his team are making the use of his sacrifice. So we're gonna see a push in the mid lane. If they can clear this tower up, which they are not going to be able to, being able to break open a tower, any tower, please God, Flash, find an opening, that gives you so much more control, because we see GAM is the one able to make the aggressive plays because they have all that map control through the mid bot side. Because there are no towers for Flash to work with. They're trading Dragon for Baron, but this is a risky call.
This is on being Kiaya. They need to find a way to stall out the Baron. The curtain call dropped as well. Will it be enough? Keep an eye on Marcus. He's looking for the flank. The Dominus has already been dropped down, and now Marcus shows himself. Artie going in. The focus onto Levi, but Artie's already down. The Baron has been secured. Marcus now on the retreat. Team Flash, do they want to fight, or do they just try to keep the Baron? Another member falls. Now it's Slater. It's a 2-for-0 for GAM, and they pick up a third as Ikigai falls as well. 2 members of Team Flash still have the Baron buff up, and this is a 2-split push for Team Flash.
Okay, it's not going to stop us. They want to try and remove this from Marcus.
Not really synced up. The deadly flourish along with the spit, but Marcus will just fall. Nogo flashing forward forces the Flash away from Style, and there were 5, then there were 2, and now there is just 1 Baron buff left for Flash.
It was looking so good. I thought that GAM had kind of committed to blowing up Arte, dumping the Moonfall exclusively onto that support, but it doesn't actually seem to matter, because we see it start off, it looks actually very good, but Ikigai doesn't follow up instantly. Actually, his ultimate was already down, so was the needlework. They just didn't have the ultimates for this fight, it seems, and that's where GAM is able to find this massive victory. Not having the ults when they go for the fight.
It feels like something teams forget a lot. They think, oh, we've won a couple of fights, we can now win, but you still have to remember, this is still the mid-game. This is still GAM's territory. This is still the territory of a Renekton, a Diana, a Yasuo, a Jhin. You need to be patient a little bit longer if you're Team Flash. You need to wait for that opening. You need to wait for this Jinx and Victor to get that 1-2 more items. They're so close to taking down GAM, who have not lost a game this split. Yes, we've only had 2 series so far, but GAM have looked absolutely indestructible.
Yeah, we're seeing that GAM, look, even though they looked like that they were losing team fights handily over and over again, they weren't out of the game at all. Their gold was still even. It's climbed up to about 4K now. And there's still only those two towers taken for Flash. That's where the gold really has come in from. That and some of the CS in... Actually, I don't know. I don't even think the CS really played a big part of it. It's just been these towers that are coming in huge. The local gold, the everything. It's just keeping GAM afloat now that they've picked up a few shutdowns in that last fight. The gold has blossomed. And now what was a very impotent mid-jungle combo, that's actually extremely threatening right now. And if GAM can play the vision game correctly, can get that good flank off from Levi, they can completely instantly win a team fight.
Now, with Baron not spawning for another couple of minutes, with Drake not up for another couple of minutes as well, I want to take this opportunity to talk about Noggo, because at the start of this game, I said Noggo was playing instead of Yoshino, and I was upset by that. But I have to take that back because Noggo has played phenomenally well. Yes, he got bullied a tiny bit by the Yasuo in the first 10 minutes, but after that point, he has been fantastic. The only player in this game not to die as well. 3-0-6, having a stellar performance in just his second VCS game.
Yeah, he's played this Victor matchup extremely well, but it's still yet to see if he can really translate this into a carry performance. He's gone very defensively in his itemization, but thankfully he hasn't entered the build in terms of damage.
Oh, no.
And now here's the kill. You cursed him, Matt.
I cursed him. I cursed Marcus. I've cursed Noggo. I think we've cursed GAM. We've cursed everyone in this game, and I'm sure the cursing will not stop, not just for this series, but for the entire day. Now, Arte being spotted out. This is a 3v1. He flashes over the wall. Beautiful deadly flourish from Style, which will lock Arte in place and provide an easy kill for GAM. However, Marcus has found Kiaya. He's trying to get the kill before the Yasuo shows up. Bakati is here, and now it's a 2v1.
Yeah,
Marcus, what can you do?
Can't do it.
He's trying to snip, but he will not be able to get onto Kiaya. And GAM find 3 kills in quick succession. Team Flash starting to fall apart. We saw the same kind of thing from Team Secret yesterday. They were in a situation where maybe they could have held on to the game, but then these little mistakes in GAM being able to find stragglers and being able just to cement their lead.
We're just seeing so much more control coming in through the side of GAM. They have very deep vision. They've had the ability to control the vision all throughout this Team Flash's jungle. Again, there's no towers to fall back to. There's no safety in those jungles for Flash. And GAM are able to capitalize, are able to get those picks, and just sometimes it's by the skin of their teeth. That deadly flourish was at the very tip, just over the wall. Yep. It was very close. Arte very close, almost could have gotten away, but what leads to one thing leads to another, and Marcus is too far pushed up an empty lane trying to get anything done onto Kiaya, rather, and it can't happen. The Renekton is just too tanky right now with these 3 items.
GAM have been able to pick up 3 Drakes. If they get 1 more, that is Hextech Soul. That's a pretty nice buff for the members of GAM and could overdo or outdo some of the scaling that Team Flash have over GAM. So my question now becomes, Team Flash have 4 minutes before that Drake. They've got 4 minutes to scale before they essentially have to take another fight against GAM. We've not seen a 5v5 fight between these 2 teams for quite a while. So I want to look at Team Flash. I want to look at their itemization Okay, we've got a teleport coming in. This is very aggressive from Marcus. He's in a 1v4. RT misses the dredge line. Marcus going golden. Kiaya teleporting in on the flank. Team Flash on the back of foot. The Flame Chompers have been dropped down, and that stops GAM from pushing any further. Baron is up, and GAM now have control over the river.
There's no needlework available, so Marcus is not going to be quite as deadly as before. It's up to really up to the can Ikigai get a huge ult. They are clumped up, so this could be a big opportunity if they layer the AoE in the pit.
Dredge line dropped down. The Baron has been secured, but Flash got the previous Baron and they lost the fight. Will this be the exact opposite? Ikigai, he still has the Onslaught of Shadows. The Moonfall being dropped down. The Onslaught of Shadows is only used onto Levi. Surely that's a bad decision. Kati low, Levi low. Everyone is so low. It's a 3v3. Kiaya being peeled away by Ikigai as Noko just continues to drop down the damage. Marcus is able to get the kill onto Levi on the top side of the fight. And the three members of GAM continue to back away, almost identical to the previous fight, or the previous time we had a Baron. This time it's Team Flash coming out on top, but GAM have three members still alive with that Baron buff, and Team Flash are showing that they are not out of this game just yet.
Yeah, Flash are gonna be able to convert this into a bit more gold into their pockets, which is nice to see, but overall, just a very scattered team fight. They didn't seem to really know what they were doing. They weren't willing to make a call as Kiaya's looking onto trying to make a play onto Ikigai. And the river shouldn't really happen, shouldn't amount to much, but this one might. B's going for Nogo.
Oh, Hextech Gates and Nogo. Oh, he's in a very tricky situation. He drops down the gravity well, which buys enough time. He's trying to run. He's trying to get the movement speed, but Ikigai is not close enough. Nogo is trying to sidestep absolutely everything, but he will eventually fall, and Kati picks up the kill.
Yeah, they managed to find him on the retreat, not resetting quickly enough, unlike GAM, who have that 4-second recall plus the Hextech Rift to get back out to try and catch those members of Team Flash.
Yeah.
Words are hard. And now they have the Baron. They can push extremely hard across these two lanes. Kati in the top side, the rest in the middle. Style has been picked though.
Levi just goes on to Slater, and Slater is down. The Jinx has fallen. Last breath air coming in from Kati. He's able to get another kill, and now to 2v4. B just tanking up the tower, and Team Flash will fall in their own base, and that might very well be game. Nogo up in 5 seconds, but after that, it's 20 more seconds for Arte, and the minion wave is crashing in. Team Flash have got closer than any other team have gotten to taking a single game off GAM, but they will have to wait a little longer. A good display from Flash, but in the end, GAM hold their nerve. GAM will take down the final tower, and GAM will take game 1.
Flash came in with a very strong early game. I must say, I was very impressed with it overall. Like those first few minutes, those first 15 minutes, but they couldn't get objective control, which led to being what kept GAM in that early game, being able to break open those turrets, get that pressure throughout that bot side jungle. That led them to get picks. And as we moved later into the game, despite the comp being built for a late game team fight, the execution itself was just very poor. So good signs from Flash, but they are still very much looking like a team of pretty much rookies top to bottom and Slater.
And I think you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned the picks, because that's essentially the difference between this game being over now and us talking about it, our faces being on camera, and us still being in game. The picks that came through onto multiple members at the very end. If Nogo just wasn't that aggressive, if Nogo had backed and respected the Hex Gate, again, ordinarily you go back 3 months. That's a perfectly fine play from Nogo. But the fact that now you've got a Hextech Rift, you've got the Hex Gate, and he gets caught, if he's there for that fight in the mid lane, it's no problem for Flash.
Yeah, Flash just not sort of respecting the ability of GAM to reset and return. They just split up across the map, trying to find too much to get back in. They got a little bit, and they reached too far trying to get more. It didn't work out. It worked out badly for them. GAM pick up a win that, if you paused it at around, about halfway through the game, you'd say, "Oh, this this could very much be a flash win, but GAM continuing to find the way back in. GAM makes its magic happen.
And at the end of the day, that is what makes a team a champion. However, still a long way to go in the split, still a long way to go today. We're going to be throwing into a short break, and when we return, our wonderful analyst desk will be breaking down that opening game between GAM and Flash and sending us into game 2. Don't go anywhere, you don't want to miss our second game of this series.
And welcome back to pre-game 2, post-game 1, GAM winning against Flash. It was a much bigger fight than we've seen so far in the split, but now they're 5-0 in game score. Welcome back to the analyst desk with Rebel and Freshthana. We have a lot to talk about in this game. Let's start with the biggest performer, Rebel. Who was your MVP from this game?
I think it was pretty clearly B. The hardest part about this game was that I think every single player had their kind of downtrodden moments where they didn't look super great. But the only person who really didn't have any of those was B. B just kind of played really well in the Tom Kench, was doing his job necessarily, and also just kind of going above and beyond what was necessary of the Tom Kench to be able to command a game like that. So I think it was, to me, pretty clearly B. After that, I think you could make an argument for a ton of players to be after that, but I think B pretty clearly captured it for us.
Do you agree, Thana?
Yeah, I see it from a different point of view because I had like the top side as my MVP, so the top laner as my MVP, and then Levi as second. Because I mean, in the end, both of them like had a really huge lead in the early game, and I think that was the great point where they had all their gold because they had a gold lead, and they lost so many team fights. They lost so much of those moments. But because of this gold lead, because they still kept being kept in the game because of those two guys, they could like get back into the game with the better macro to then finally win the game. So I think that the top side was really crucial, and getting solo killed multiple times on the top lane just shows me that top laner from GAM was just really a goat there.
Renekton is his most played champion of all time. Renekton for GAM, I never say no to that, even though allegedly I hate Renekton, but not for Kiaya, because he's a very, very good Renekton player. But I just want to point out one thing. I know I'm the host today, so not supposed to do analysis, but one thing that really stood out to me. B took Aftershock, which is not a rune we see a lot on Tom Kench, and I think they pre-planned this whole early game, the whole first gank, with the Aftershock Tom Kench before even going into the game, which is super cool. Maybe something to go back and make a video about, because the intricacies of that just fascinated me. But I want to look at Team Flash, because in my opinion, they overperformed in this game, even though in the end they kind of squandered their opportunity to maybe get the first game win over GAM. Thana, why did Flash end up losing? Was it more a throw from their side? Was it GAM's efforts? Who was responsible for the outcome of this game, in your opinion?
I think that just getting kills doesn't mean anything in League of Legends because it's an objective-based game, so you need to maybe get a kill and after that get a turret, etc. So, but in this case, they just won team fights and it's just a little bit of gold. But because they are down in gold because of farming, for example, they just farmed a lot of minions in the early game. So because of just winning team fights and just getting like some kills, just like we saw, it doesn't mean anything. And because GAM got all the turrets, got all the Drakes, and even after the Baron, they just killed them all. So I think the problem was that Team Flash didn't get those objectives which they need to win a game.
Anything to add, Rebel?
I'm gonna take this to, I think, your question for me before this, because I know draft is starting, which was, how does Team Flash actually come away with what is considerably, something positive? Which was, I thought that their early game plan started out okay. I think eventually it devolved into nonsense, and I also think that they had some questionable decisions when it came to later game and trying to play out a big team fight when they've got a couple of AoE champions. I know Mabi is probably going to be visceral about this on the broadcast. However, I do think their earlier stage of the game was more competitive than we'd seen anybody be. I think that this was a composition that was designed well, and I think they played it decently. They had their moments in both bottom and top lane where they were kind of trolling, unfortunately. But I think ultimately they could at least hang their hat on the fact that they were able to stay competitive the entire game.
And with that, we're into draft. A lot of interesting things to be answered. There are a lot of questions posed from the last draft with Yasuo. Gwen is banned this time, so no Gwen first pick. But let's...
Yasuo back in? Is that why the Rise got banned?
We don't know yet, so we're gonna have to wait for the rosters to show up. Any initial comments on the bans here? We have Hecarim actually being banned away and Gwen on the other side.
Yeah, I think nothing too special here in the bans. And the Dilly Sin isn't really a surprise as well, just those early game junglers. I think we saw Levi at least one game in this split already on the Dilly Sin, and it just kind of fits his playstyle, so it's a good pickup, and it doesn't show anything for the team comp, so that's a really good blind pick, first pick.
Mm-hmm. It's also like Iga has shown some solid play on that champion, and this is the first time he's going to be forced off of it. The thing that actually stands out the most to me in the banning phase, not only the respect ban of the Hecarim, which I think was actually good for Ikigai, but this Veigar continues to get banned away, and I want to know who ruined the scrims in the VCS to force this champion to get banned out all the time, because I like the champion and I'd like to see somebody play it, but somebody is running games inside of the VCS somewhere, and it's causing this champion to be taken away.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense if you think about the VCS and the tendencies of all the players and the teams, right? Very aggressive, maybe over-aggressive, diving in. Veigar likes to play against those players. He likes to stand there, put the event horizon down, laugh in their face, and just get kill after kill after kill, which also benefits his passive. He's not nerfed on this patch too, so he's in a very, very strong state. Ezreal for Karma Ezreal coming in, a little bit of Korean influence maybe.
Yeah, what a poke setup as well, so maybe we see some kind of poke team come, maybe even with a Jace then for mid or for top or something, which would be really interesting that they kind of change their playstyle now for game 2, because in the first game, just this all-in team comp with Diana Yasuo, and now like going back to poke and maybe even to save a bot lane with some Karma roams. It's really some kind of change there in the team strats.
The postulation you have of the Jace could actually be a good one, because I know Kiai is one of our favorite Jace players inside of the league. But this actually, to me, speaks of GAM's confidence in style, which has been growing, I think, since the beginning of the split. Styles had some great performances. Even last game, I thought he had a pretty good performance in the Jhin. They were obviously trading off roles between him and DivKid the majority of the time. I know DivKid's played the majority of C games, but so far it's been all style here, and it's worked out to pretty great avail. I really liked style in the previous split. I'm glad they're giving him a chance. And this is really, really high on saying, okay, I think Style can take a 2-on-1 lane where he's the Ezreal, and if the Karma wants to stay around and just kind of poke down the Leona, take control of the lane, they can do so. But otherwise, Karma can get out and about on the map, and they have full trust in Style to be able to hang that himself.
Maybe even a little bit of disrespect towards Slater to pick away his Ezreal, his famous Ezreal. What is he going to answer with?
I don't know. Maybe some sort of just scaling ADC. I mean, some of them are still available, like the Jinx, for example. But just a little bit more scaling would be great, because at the moment they have no scaling. So yeah, there's the Jinx.
Whenever I see an Ezreal, especially a blind Ezreal, my mind goes to Twitch. But I know we're never getting Twitch again after the first week. But it doesn't matter. This is good. I know you're cheering for this, especially because I think both of these solo laners are capable of taking the Akali pretty easily. I don't know which one you prefer it in the hands of. I know which one I would prefer to have it in the hands of, and it's actually looking like it's going into the hands of the person that I wanted it to. I don't know if your opinion's different on that one.
No, I think Kati is a great Akali player. I mean, he played it twice already, and just with really great KDA, and just he's a good Akali player. So just give him this champion. And I mean, Kiara even played some crazy games, 2 in a row or something. So I think that definitely makes sense. And now there's the Camilla's last pick for Team Flash, which fits in the team comp, because they really want to shut down one team member to get the reset for the Jhin and for the Viego, and to get the reset for the Jinx. So I kind of like this Camille with the Syndra ult, with the Leona ult, to just burst one team member down to get those resets.
Seeing Camille on Team Flash and not in the hands of Yoshino, though, does hurt my heart a little bit, I have to admit, even though I'm a big Marcus fanboy. But yeah, let's see what he can do. He fell short in the last laning phase, and this laning phase is not going to be any easier, is it, Rebel?
It's a situation where I've actually seen this lane play out in both directions. Like obviously Graves loves taking the melee like matchups just because he has quite a bit of damage to work with. It takes a very little amount, however, to shift this lane into the favor of the Camille. Once she gets Divine Cinderace, it turns the lane into a very different place where all of a sudden the Camille can take full-on engagements if necessary. And if I recall, this is actually Marcus's best champion. I've seen it a couple of times for him in a number of places, and I'm actually confident in the skill of the Camille as opposed to something else. Okay. This is actually, to me, the comfort pick for him. I'm actually really liking Flash's composition altogether. Even though there's a Cinder in the mid lane, which I hate, I'm going to call Flash for this one.
Okay, you actually made sure to predict this time because I didn't give you the courtesy of actually predicting. So, Flash call for Rebel, ambitious. Well, I like it. Flash for you too? Like okay, double Flash prediction, and that's super hype to head onto the Rift. Maybe the first game, GAM's gonna lose or split. And to call this whole beautiful affair, we have Milky and Marby once again.
Thank you very much, Yulway, and maybe, just like Demon Slayer, we'll be having a bit of a flashy game out on the Rift, Marby. Team Flash, they looked good at various points in Game 1, they just lacked that little extra. And now with a more early game composition, having the likes of this Syndra in the mid lane might give them the opportunity to stay toe-to-toe with GAM for longer.
Possibly. I feel like they lose a little bit in the terms of the pressure coming up from the jungle. The Hecarim response time is a lot quicker than the Viego. But if they can get a snowball going, this come from Team Flash should be, I think, much easier to execute, to keep finding picks, keep things rolling, and keep that snowball going. Whereas GAM, I think GAM's sort of kind of looking at the not do a hell of a lot early, but once they come into the late game, it'll be ridiculously difficult to deal with. Unless we see Levi just do Levi things on this Lee Sin. I got very excited to see it when I saw it locked in, because I feel like I haven't seen Levi's Lee Sin in a long time, even though he's probably already played at this split. I just like watching Levi's Lee Sin.
I like watching Killer Queen's Lee Sin. That's kind of, for me, always going to be like an iconic Lee Sin after the performance he pulled off last week. Now, Levi has played. Yes, he has had one game on the Lee Sin, which was against Team Secret, actually. So, yesterday.
Well, there you go. So, he's coming. He's already put on a clinic, but it's just against Team Secret, so it doesn't really mean all that much.
I'm going to bite my tongue there.
Yeah, that's specifically Milky Bait.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think the big thing I really want to keep an eye on is, of course, this top lane, because both of these top laners, the champions at least, can be absolute menaces if they get a lead. If they find that advantage, it becomes very hard to shut either of them down. So I want to see the jungle attention make their way up there, but early engage onto B.
Very early engage. Good Zenith Blade from Arte. I want to talk a little bit about the late game and team fights more specifically, because I don't think the analyst desk touched on this. If they did, then I sincerely apologize. But when I look over at GAM's composition, I don't see any engage.
Not really that, no. There's not that traditional hard engage. You've got the speed up from the Karma into some flashy plays from Levi, but realistically, no, you are looking for Slater getting picked.
Well, Slater is taken down low. That's a Zenith Blade coming in now. Ikigai is on his way over, and that's First Blood going over to the side of GAM, and Ikigai shows up just when Levi shows up, and it makes it 2 quick kills for GAM.
Yeah, the pressure from the GAM bot lane was being there to set up for Levi, and Flash were really keen. Were kind of keen to go for it because they thought they had the jungler there first, but Flash just got killed too quickly. They got killed in the 2v2, then the junglers arrive, and the numbers advantage is still there for GAM. They blow everything from the side of Slater. It's just not enough. And then Ikigai is just stuck in a 3v1 because Slater can't contribute. There's not enough mana for rockets. There's absolutely nothing he can do. Too low to step up into auto with the minigun. And that means if the focus is on the bot side, it lets Kiaya sort of naturally win this top side with the range advantage.
Flash looking for a play in the top lane. Hookshot comes through, tanked up by Levi. Levi goes in,
Levi.
picks up the kill onto Ikigai. Kiaya flashing away from Marcus, and Levi says howdy. He sends his regards to Marcus. He picks up the double kill. And Levi is everywhere in this game.
Yeah, Levi's just able to completely undo that play from Flash. It looked like Kiaya was about to get deleted from the fight, but able to flash out. Levi in place to block the hook shot as well, and no follow-up able to come through from Marcus. Just the skin of their teeth from on the side of Kiaya, this double 80 top side, also letting that True Grit passive do its work. And we saw B in the top side just ready to help out just in case. So across the map, Levi is winning is making sure that winning lanes are winning even harder. And this matchup that should be getting beaten up on in the mid lane, the Akali, it's holding on very well. It's even in CS, it's taking a bit of punishment in terms of priority, but it doesn't matter because Levi is making up for it in spades.
Honestly, when I saw this jungle matchup, I would have thought it'd be Levi making the aggressive plays and Ikigai matching, but it's turned out to be the opposite. As in the bottom lane, we get a little skirmish. Oh! Noggo with a solo kill, using up the last bits of his mana as well to pick that up.
Just as I said, the Akali matchup's doing fine.
Hey, we're keeping on the caster curses from game 1. We've got to stay consistent.
Gotta keep it consistent. It's going great. So yeah, bit of a blowout for Cardi. Gets himself blown, gets his head caved in by a bunch of spheres, but Slater's about to get his head caved in again as well.
And Ikigai thinks, hey, this time I'm here. I can make the counter jungle play, but both of his bottom laners die before he can do anything. You gotta feel for Ikigai. He's just getting run down under his tower. Oh my god, Levi is having an absolute masterclass. We thought Bean J played well on Lee Sin back in week 1, but Levi's just taking it one step further.
This is just gonna be the solo kill. Commits, just lands the scout of the week into the damage. It's just not much you can do. Press this button, use this skill. The bot side was absolutely filthy. This is a 5-0 Lee Sin. If it was solo queue, I would be expecting a Duskblade Drakthar to come out. But no, Levi sticking to his guns, picking up the Gore Drinker. Not willing to lean too heavily on the full assassin Lee Sin.
And I know we had some, I want to say almost harsh words for Levi in game 1 on the Dan and not able to find those multi-man moonfalls that are set up before the Yasuo. But here on the Lee Sin, he just seems so much more comfortable to make these plays.
Yeah, the Diana definitely looks noticeably weaker and like less comfortable for the side of Levi, and that could have been close. There was no smite available for Ikigai, but B might have overreached. RT looking for that Zenith Blade.
Good sidestep from B, and I can confirm there is no Levi in the bottom lane. But GAM might just 2v3 this. They're running RT and Slater down. Ikigai's already left. Does he think about coming back? No, because GAM have backed off as Carti goes in for Noggo and gets a good trade.
Yeah, not going to commit the ultimate. Oh, it turns out he already had, but didn't have the kill in range. Style.
They are looking for Style. He's holding on to the Arcane Chef for quite a while. They donate the kill over to Slater, as you do when you've got a Jinx on your team. And Team Flash finally gets some revenge. But GAM just want their own plays. Levi said, this time I'm not going to counter jungle you, Ikigai. I'm going to make a play on the opposite side of the map. And he does so successfully. Levi is just absolutely faultless this game.
Yeah, just walk straight up to the subside. Very little Marcus could do, trying to hide in the minion waves to make sure sonic waves and autos from the graves are harder to hit. Does not matter at all, and that's going to be a lot of play. A lot of minions denied to Marcus, who doesn't have his teleport. Going to be plates going over to Kiaya, and they're not even going to really invest the Rift Tower and break that open. They want to keep this laning phase extended, try and drop that into the mid lane and accelerate the Akali. As in the picture-in-picture,
Oh, Zenith Blade coming through. That's a very aggressive play from Akati, and it's not going to work out, as in the end, Nogo on practically no health gets the kill, as here's a replay of the dive in the top lane.
Yeah, we see there, Marcus trying to hide in the mini-wave. It's not enough. Levi is just so far ahead, he can basically just auto you, kick into the queue. You can't really
Wait,
play
Nogo?
against that.
He got sniped by Styles' True Shot Barrage.
That's so it all works out in the end, and Style is gonna get blown up here.
Yeah. Slater says, hey, you're going to throw out your ult to get a kill? I'll throw out my ult to get a kill. That being said, Styles still does have more kills than Slater, 3 and 2. Slater 2 and 1. CS relatively even. As here's how Nogo escaped death and then died.
Yeah, they sort of a good scan of the week to knock back Levi, but Cardi still says, I got this. I can go for it. He did not have it. He could not go for it. But it all works out in the end to be okay, because thanks to Style picking up that snipe. And that means this Ezreal is going to just absolutely be really far ahead. As hello, it's a 2v3 on the bot side with Levi and B waiting for Style to back them up.
And they don't even need Style. They'll just get the kill onto RT. Now they look for Ikigai. Ikigai will get one, but he will not be able to steal the soul away in time. The analyst desk brought up how important it is for this Team Flash composition to be able to get resets, to be able to find that first kill. But here it just took them way too long. Slater's back gets cancelled. Rift Herald dropped down. More tower plates going over the way of Style. This is at nearly a 6k goal lead for GAM. Such a better performance here in Game 2 than what they had in Game 1.
Yeah, Style should be very close to completing that Mana Moon Air. Probably gonna pick up a lot of CDR with the boots and the Caulfield's Warhammer. So, and with this Essence Reaver, he can just make his way to the mid lane and just stay there forever. There's not much they can really do. The wave clear isn't quite enough. Snogo gonna get a little bit of harassment on there. Blows the ultimate onto B, but it's not quite enough. And now that the bot lane has moved to mid lane, it's gonna be a lot harder for Nogo to try and get the pressure down and try and make things happen. But this is an opportunity for Cardi to catch Slater sleeping on the side.
Slater playing defensively for now, but then again, that Akali has so many gap closers and so much burst damage. This series is reminding me a lot of the GAM Secret series from yesterday, because in that, Secret looked fairly decent in Game 1, but Game 2, GAM just cleaned everything up and just looked absolutely unstoppable once again. And maybe that's just what we will be expecting to see from GAM over the course of this split. Maybe Game 1 being a little bit questionable, but over the course of the series, as the draft adapts, GAM just know exactly what they're doing and just outsmart whoever they're going up against.
Yeah, we saw. I mean, that first game draft was very different from what we normally see from GAM. That Diana Yasuo combo is something that they do not seem very well practiced on, and do not seem very strong at. That sort of weakish mid jungle combo, unable to really get the pressure going. That's what they really love to play and thrive through. In the top side, I mean, they love their strong top lane, and that's why they went for the Renekton, and that helped a lot. But this time, it's even better for Kiai, because he's been able to pick up this Hullbreaker, and now it's not quite as effective. Hullbreaker on everybody. It's not quite as effective up against the Camille, because Camille can just ignore those extra resistances regardless, thanks to very silly design. But it's still going to be enough to really pressure this lane down all by himself, able to shove in this wave, pick up the tower on his own, and keep this side lane pressure going. And with these two winning sort of side lanes, because the long lane starts to suit the Akali a lot more than the Syndra, this is where GAM are really going to be able to find the pressure, keep it on, and with that boot and that pressure on the neck of Flash, they can rotate and be into objectives. First, cut off the vision where you have to walk into the poke of the Ezreal. You have to watch your flanks for the Akali. This is where GAM... this is how GAM wins team fights, by making them very unfair.
Yeah. Marcus not quite here. Levi already going in and picks up the kill onto Arte, and GAM are not done yet. They want more. Kiaya chasing down. They get the slow with the Soul Flare. They get the kill onto Marcus. Ikigai, the only member left standing for Team Flash on the top side of the map. 2 more quick kills for GAM. And this game is just snowballing out of control. Marcus, he's practically 50 CS down on Kiaya. He's 2 levels behind the Graves. Kiaya, an absolute masterclass in this game in the top lane.
Only needed a little bit of help from the Lee Sin to bail him out of that first gank, and then another one for good measure. But with those benefits, Kiaya's been able to just keep it be comfortable from there. Hasn't needed too much more attention. They sent up there to really try and force open a play on that top side, and with that. Lots of fighting over the wards of the Raptors.
Levi actually smited the final one. He said, I don't need my smite for this Rift Herald. I just want to take it away from Slater.
Yeah, and as long as they can keep Ikigai away from the pit, that's easy. They're gonna pick up this Rift Herald because it's felt like a lot has happened. It's still only 15 minutes, and they can use the second Rift Herald to break open. Well, they've already got the mid lane tower, so.
Levi's so rich, he didn't even care about the Scuttle Crab. He just left it on half health. He was like, but I'll kill you later. Not important to me right now. 10-0.
Not worth it. Yeah, 10-0. He's missed out only on 2 kills in terms of participation. He's absolutely wreaking havoc this game. It's an easy MVP angle for him. And on the top side, Graves takes another tower as they try desperately to kill Cardi.
Oh. Is this a shutdown? It's not a shutdown because Kati was 0-2, now 0-3. I mean, in fairness to Nogo, doing a decent job in the mid lane. Nogo is literally he's replaced Yoshino and he is the new Yoshino, doing well in his lane as he watches the rest of his team burn around him.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw it feels so bad and once again, Ikigai being on the bad end of a Lee Sin game where it's not necessarily that he played it badly, he just got gapped really hard by the other player. So it feels like you might just need to ban it to save this guy's poor mentality. Now that the top lane has been cleared of all towers, we move the Graves into the bot side. He's going to be able to clean that up easily. There's no one who can answer him. And it's going to be a battle of the 0-3s at the top side. Carly versus Camille, having a grand old time, not being
the wooden spoon, right?
Yep.
Levi still has that Rift Herald as well. Are we going to get a Kelly dance?
I don't think so. I think it would take a very impressive clean ace. Like 5-0, everyone's still on full health.
This is a 10k goal lead. It's a 10k goal lead at pre-18 minutes. I feel like GAM can clean ace right now.
They probably can. It's just a matter of I don't think Flash is going to give them that fight. So we're going to see a charge into this mid lane. Just goodbye Slater.
Yep. Arte, half health. All members of GAM practically full health. Style takes so much damage. Nogo is literally the one shining light for Team Flash right now. Bakati will go into the backline. He wants to shut down Nogo, but is unable to do so. 3 members of GAM still alive. That's a 2-for-2. A 2-for-2 that Flash would usually be very happy with if it wasn't for the fact that their base is now wide open. A very early inhibitor for GAM. Some people would say that's a bad thing to do because you give more gold over to the likes of Slater to get to a strong stage.
Generally, that is pretty much an objectively bad move to make, but I feel with GAM's lead, they don't really care. They just, they can probably, they've just accelerated the game to the stage that they should be knocking out the inhibitors. They're like playing at around 25-minute game. It's just been accelerated forward as Kiaya comes in, assassinates Slater, and Nogo returns the favor. So there we just see it's a lot of nothing as Kani tries to dive forward. Arte is traded on the backside, but it's a couple towers. It's an inhibitor to the side of GAM, and they can just try and utilize this pressure to try and siege up onto these other inhibitors. Style, he might get caught out again.
Good scatter of the week, but a decent arcane shift out of the spectrum. More
Good
Team
plans
Flash
as
are
well.
not done yet. Oh my god, that's a lot of damage, but Nogo picks up the kill. Takes another tower shot, will survive. Sonic Wave will not land on to Nogo. Nogo flashing away, hit by the Soul Flare, killed by B. As Ikigai got very close to killing Levi, but there was a 10-0 Lee Sin with a Sterex Gate, with a Gore Drinker. You're going to need a little bit more if you want to kill him.
Yeah, the problem for Levi there was he wasn't fighting the Viego, he was fighting his own Ezreal, and Ezreal is chunking out a lot of damage, and Cardi
had a good game.
Cardi misses his former teammates later, and it's just trying to give him a bit of love, I guess. But yeah, we are Hullbreaker Graves back on the bot side, just hammering in these shells.
Is Hullbreaker the new Gore Drinker of Season 11?
Kind of the new Sterex, but Sterex with a mix of all Banner of Command evolved, so Kiaya, he can do extremely well on the 1v1.
Kiaya's just 1v4ing and he's getting away with it as well. You always get a kill on your Marcus. I legitimately didn't know how to cast that because I was just thinking, does he get the kill? Because if he gets the kill, it's just too funny to commentate on seriously. And if he dies, it's it's a 4-on-1 because the rest of GAM just pick up a Baron.
But you just saw how long he was able to survive with these extra resistances, with this lifesteal that he's built with the shield bow as well. But there we are. There's the objective bounty. There's the gold back for Team Flash. They are still 11,000 gold down. And Cardi, he just...
Oh, okay.
Cardi.
Honestly, if inting in bronze is running it down into a tower, that's a challenger in as Carti. Okay, that wasn't an int. That was a good play. Carti gives a thumbs up. Possibly the only good play he's made this entire game.
Making up for it. Finally. Yeah, absolutely. He's redeemed his entire game with that one play. This is...
Nothing is redeeming. Silly. Nothing redeems dashing onto flame jumpers.
This has just been absolutely silly from the side of GAM. Levi and the bot lane kind of cracked open this lead to an insane level, and the fact that Cardi's just pretty much sprinting it at this point, the fact it's not hurting them at all, really just goes to show how dominant this early game has been from the side of GAM Esports. And
wow, that's the best true shot barrage I've ever seen from Style.
It's pretty solid. I gotta admit, and they're just gonna.
Oh wow! Carti's actually smurfing a protobelt to get a kill. This man's now 2-5. From 0-5 to 2-5. He's gone 2-0. That's nuts.
Absolutely huge plays out of the Akali. MVP performance by far, and here's the final fight.
It is a final fight. It is a rather sad occurrence. Nogo will be able to pick up one kill onto Style with the unleashed power, but that is all. Slater is throwing out rockets, doesn't even have the rune, and so it's just single target damage right now. And, well, he's not doing a lot of damage. Carti goes under the Nexus Fountain, goes golden, Flash is out, still alive, but the Nexus is not. Team Flash will fall. GAM destroy Team Flash so hard that Team Flash may never even show up for another VCS game.
Yeah.
And with that, it's a 2-0.
Yeah, you mentioned something in game one about a Marcus being the second best, Marcus and Kiaya being the top two top laners of the split. I think Kiaya in particular took offense to that because he he dunked on Marcus so hard this series.
Okay, so in my defense, Marcus' stats are so far plus 12 CS at 15 minutes, plus 700 gold at 15 minutes, and plus 300 XP diff at 15 minutes. So in 2 out of those 3 stats, he's actually better than Kiaya, and he's been in losing games as well, whereas Kiaya's been winning all of his games. So I was looking at that. That's impressive. Plus, he stomped on Harsman. Zakari.
Yeah, I mean, inherently it's not wrong. Kiaya just disagrees.
Okay.
Overall, I don't know what else to say. That was just dominance from GAM. That sort of performance is why we are so scared of C games taking them from us and denying us them MSI. But
Now,
nothing to say.
I did hear an angry sound from Yulway, and I think that's because we're doing such a fantastic job analyzing the game. The analyst team are thinking, well, what on earth are they going to talk about? So let's not take any more content away from them. We're going to throw to our wonderful analyst desk, who will break down the game and the series that GAM took 2-0 over Team Flash.
Welcome back to the analyst desk. Next time I'll just gonna cut to the analyst desk earlier and just mute Milky because he's rambling on for hours and hours, not sure why. I guess he didn't get his time casting the game because the game was over in under 23 minutes. So that's fair enough. We actually spent more time on the analyst desk than in-game this series. Maybe a little bit expected, I have to say. And we have the beautiful graphics here. Thanks again, Boots, for stepping up in the need when we are in need for graphics. So let's talk about this game. Maybe not so much. Let's talk about Levi, because Levi is cracked on Lee Sin, right? Thana?
Yeah, like especially this game kind of remind me about MSI 2017, where Peanut played such a phenomenal Lee Sin game against Levi, and now like this game today, I mean, he just was everywhere. He got every gank right. He got like those counter ganks in. He just stomped them, and I mean, incredible. That's why they picked him Lee Sin first pick. I mean. He just showed that he is one of the best in this league.
Was there even any other outstanding player? Outstanding in the positive sense. We don't want to talk about Cardi, Rebel.
Kiaya's performance I thought was really good in that game. I'm upset that there was no Gourd Rinker alongside the Hull Breaker, because that would have been just like the most modern tech we've ever seen brought into the VCS this quickly. But maybe in a couple of patches, maybe somebody's going to have the audacity to be able to bring that out pretty quickly. Honestly, also, I mean, nobody else really had to do anything, but B's shields were really annoying. There were like 3 or 4 plays during that game where like things actually got kind of close for Ikigai or for somebody else, and out of nowhere B just drops a shield and it's like, oh, play's dead. Like now it's chucked. Like the play's over, which was unfortunate. And those are pretty much the only people that actually did much. I mean, Style was along for the ride for the most part. Kadi was actively trying to int his team, I'm pretty sure, because they were just doing too well. So he's like, I gotta give something back to the opposite side, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, I was very impressed with B's performance overall so far. The series, the whole split. I think he's really putting his name in the ring again, or in the hat, I should say, for best support after being overcome by Ronda P, I guess, last split. But yeah, GAM 6-0 in games. They are back to where we expect them to be. Let's talk about Flash, because GAM made quick work of them. Flash. So we talked about, we started this day today talking about expectations for the series and what they have to accomplish and show us to be considered, or for this day to be considered, maybe not successful, but at least something you were able to learn from. Did they accomplish those goals? Let's start with you, Thana. Do you think there's anything to take away from them, both considering both of these games?
I mean, if you just consider the first game, definitely they played out of their mind in the first one. And if we take both games to the picture, then yeah, maybe game 1 was just a little bit lucky, who knows? Or maybe game 2 is just a little bit lucky in the early game for GAM. So I think they can be proud, especially because of the first game. And I think that the mid laner can be really proud to kind of win the lane against Kati 2 times. Even getting solo bonus 2 times against Kati. So I think there are a lot of things which are really great from Team Flash in the series.
I have something, I guess, just to perhaps supplement what I had come to the conclusion that I come to earlier, because you asked me the question, what is the best lineup? And I said, I don't think it should change. I am a lying man, because after that, I think it's actually better for Yoshino to go back to top lane and to swap out Marcus. If they're going to keep up this strategy where Ikigai basically plays exclusively and tailoring his entire playstyle towards Slater and Artie, you can't not have somebody that's as volatile as Marcus in the top side. If you put Yoshino up there and he's able to kind of hammer down the way he had in previous splits his abilities, being a top 3 top laner consistently for the majority of his career. You couple that with Nogo, who solo killed Kadi, I think, twice, 3 times today in the laning phase, and you throw Ikigai, who had a good performance, into a bottom lane where he's attacking for Slater and Artie. I think the team looks better. So I'm hoping they at least try it at some point. If Yoshino hasn't made a full swap to mid lane yet, I'd like to see the attempted Yoshino top lane with Nogo on the mid lane, because I think it's actually what's best.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. Nogo certainly looked very good. I actually gave him my last MVP point in this game, because I'm not allowed to give Levi more than 3 points. So I thought, yeah, Nogo actually had a very decent performance, kind of trying to keep his team at least somewhere close to in the game. Wasn't actually succeeding in doing so, but got some nice individual outplays in there, as you just pointed out. So I want to close on this first series, as we are going to move into a very long pause, unfortunately. 1.5 hours probably, till the next big series is going to come up. So last point I want to say, yeah, you did. Every time I wake up nowadays, I could catch glimpses of the Olympics happening, right? And one of these competitions was very interesting, very cool to me, which was the freestyle skiing, where they do all sorts of incredible jumps and stunts and whatever. So let's say if Lee Sin, playing Lee Sin was an Olympic competition, who are the winners from the VCS? Is it just Levi, or is Killer Queen still in there? Does Druktha have anything to say? Ikigai, Rebel, what do you think?
Give it to me first. I think gold medal's got to go to Levi. I think he's the most practiced on it. I think the silver medal goes to Drakthar. I think Drakthar's Lee Sin is like, I think in terms of mechanical expression, I think he beats out Levi, but Levi's just a better jungler, at least over top of Drakthar most of the time. And so when it comes to decision making and actual consistent play on the Lee Sin, I think Levi's better. But when it comes to doing cool things like insects and actually applying them to a game sense, Drakthar I think beats him out slightly. And the third one, I think it's up for debate, but I would put Killer Queen in that position, just because I think Killer Queen this split has definitely showed better play on the Lee Sin than what he had the previous split.
Athana, did you watch enough VCS to have to come to a conclusion here, or would you just like to end on Levi Lee Sin again?
I would just say gold medal to Levi, and the other medals, at least from my perspective, goes to whoever can catch them. So I would just throw them in the middle of the pack, and they can take them if they want. So, but Levi definitely, at least for me, gold medal in this case.
Makes a lot of sense. I don't think many people can argue with that after that performance. What an incredible game. These games just happen sometimes, where someone of GAM, most of the time Levi, sometimes someone else, just plays out of their mind, out of this world, and the game ends in 22 minutes. The Union is happy after today, so we are going to move into a very long pause, unfortunately, but we have to stay tuned. I don't know, watch some LCK, watch some LPL, but come back in time for the second series, because it's going to be the most important series of the week. It's going to be Sky playing against Cerberus. Half the puppies, half the actual Hellhound, who knows? But Sky has a very important series ahead of them, and this could actually go a long way in deciding the playoffs race, so stay tuned. Support us if you have the money. If you want to actually give us something back, because we're putting in a lot of work, of course, you can subscribe, you can follow the channel, you can follow us on Twitter to catch all the updates. You can subscribe to this Twitch channel, you can give us a donation or help us out on Patreon as well. You can find all the options below the stream. So see you in 1.5 hours for the big one of today.